desde Bruselas, el Público Europeo, helmed.
As God's word is.
This is Voice of the Revolution. You're listening to Voice of the Revolution Radio, broadcasting from Orlando, United States of America. Fuck! Why can you never hear me?
We always have this problem.
I hate this.
I hear myself.
Ugh. Okay, I don't know why. So frustrating. Whatever. We do this every time. I
know we should know by now.
We should totally know by now. Okay. Okay. So we're both brimming with things to say.
I just have to practice my Tommy Wiseau laugh.
Oh no. In that audio sample, it was perfect.
Did you keep it to play on the show?
No, it didn't allow me to keep it.
Oh fuck.
They're so good, but we're gonna have it on tape as well.
Yes.
On my like micro cassette tape that I'm recording this on, obviously. I can't. And you know I'm gonna magnify that by like times 12, so everyone can hear that loud and good. Okay, this is Homo and a Housewife. I think you abbreviated it like HA, H-A-H or something. How did you abbreviate? Ha. Wait, what? Oh, AHA. Okay, welcome to AHA. I'm Jakob Musıck, and I'm a radio host and a political commentator, and I work at a call center. And CK Brooke, would you like to introduce yourself too?
Hi, I'm Katie, and I'm best known as CK Brooke, Amazon bestselling and award-winning author of fantasy and romance novels.
Amazing. And I'm on TV, so I'm also cool. If you listen to our room commentary and review, you know that we are really into this subject. And we're like brimming with excitement. So if we lose control, we could very easily lose control and just start screaming things because I feel it building, okay?
You're tearing me apart!
But we have to control the cast a little bit. So, and I think you would describe it better. So, can you tell people, number one, what the room is, and number two, what the disaster artist is?
Okay, well, first of all, though, Jake, I think we should clarify. You are the homo, I am the housewife.
I am not a housewife. Go figure. Go figure.
That wasn't my best.
That wasn't your best, but even your worst is great.
Okay, The Room is considered the worst movie ever made. It was made in 2003, and it has a huge cult following as a result because it's so bad it crosses the line into, like, genius.
Yes.
For being so bad. So The Disaster Artist is a movie done by James Franco, where he basically...
Auteur James Franco.
Yes, where he basically made a movie about the making of The Room.
It's like a biopic.
Yeah, exactly. It's a biopic. The Disaster Artist is a biopic of Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero, but as we learn in The Disaster Artist, he could not have done it without his friend, Greg. My best friend, Greg.
So if you have not seen The Room, you should go listen to our commentary. A lot of the film is on there, so you'll get the audio of the film. Plus,
but really, though, nothing
you'll get our
compares to the
commentary.
Experience of watching it, though.
That's true.
Well, you can go on
You
YouTube
can go pay
and
for it
find-
and watch it if you want.
You
But
can
that's
pay
a
for
free
it.
option for people who are poor like me. You can go do that. I mean, let me tell you, shelling out $11, $12 last night with how poor I am these days, that was big bucks. But The Disaster Artist is in theaters now. Go see it. And I'm legally obligated to say that because I don't want to get in trouble with the FBI and I don't want to become a felon. You should also see The Room and listen to our commentary. Maybe listen to our commentary first. I'm just biased. You might want to stop here and go watch it and come back.
Because this review will contain spoilers.
And it's gonna make
Not
it's gonna make no sense to you because you're gonna be like, what the? They're really like, what are the tuxedos, football? What? Why is she keep talking like an Eastern European whore? What is going on? Why? I don't understand.
This review will contain spoilers both of The Room and of The Disaster Artist.
Yes,
So,
but
yeah.
it's funny because technically, yeah, spoilers of The Room, and then The Disaster Artist, which has actually occurred in history. So, of course, me and you weren't able to see it together because we are like 1,500 miles away. So, we talk about this all the time, how far away we are. But you did see it with your husband. And now,
Oh my God.
your husband had not seen The Room, correct?
Oh my God, it was the most, Jake, it was
Tell
like
me
the
about seeing The Room,
Okay.
seeing The Disaster Artist with your husband.
It was the most awkward experience. So, okay, just to give you a little bit of background, okay, like, I am a 28-year-old, like, older millennial,
Yes.
but, you know, leftist, free thinker type of person. My husband is a 40-something-year-old,
I did not know he was that old. I thought he was late 30s.
No, he's, like, 43.
Okay.
And, he's 15 years older than me.
Yeah.
We got married. We've actually been married for 10 years, but that's
Yeah,
another
they've been
story.
married for we've talked about that previously on the show too. And no,
Yeah.
she was not pregnant.
I was not pregnant. So he is this staunch conservative Trump supporter type of, you know, the type.
And this verges on avant-garde. This whole
Yes.
thing.
Well, it's very hipster. It's all. And
It's
and
very
he's-
hipster. It's very
he's a-
weird.
He's a Gen Xer. He has like The Room and like laughing at a bad movie. Okay, so my husband's Polish, so he's not from Poland, but
Yeah.
he, you know, he's hereditary. Like so they're very literal people.
Yes.
They don't understand like sarcasm. And when I tried to show him clips of The Room a couple of months ago, he was just watching it with a totally straight face, and he was like, "Oh, this is like a bad soap opera," and I was like, "No, honey, it's so much more than that."
Or afterwards, was he asking you questions?
It was after. It was after.
Okay, it was after. He's not a movie disruptor. I am a movie disruptor.
No, oh my God, then I would not be able to go to the movies with you. I get so mad. It's a good thing we did not do this
Well,
together.
like-
I would have been like, Jake, shut up.
Left to my own devices, Katie, I would talk like our commentaries at the movie theater.
Oh my, you are an asshole.
I
That's
mean,
like you're
cultural differences. That's what I'm gonna say.
I'm very like conscientious.
And
about-
are you very like what's the word? Are you very like respective of the whole filmmaking experience and going into the
Yes.
cinema and
It's like
being
the
quiet
movie
and
theater-
silencing your cell phone and
Yes, the movie theater is my temple. Like, okay,
Oh.
now granted, where we live, our movie theaters in Michigan are very fancy. They
Yes.
have they
I
serve
hear
you
about
drinks.
them.
They have reclining chairs.
I actually got a reclining chair too, so that was awesome.
Oh, it was on the ride home, and I had to like defend the movie because now did you make up like a list of discussion points?
Yes, actually I did, and I wanted to just start by and this is
I'll let you guide this. I'm
Yeah.
gonna co-host and you take the.
this is
the
not
there.
so I just wanted to read this mostly for your entertainment because I took down a series of phrases as I took notes during the film, so I'm just gonna read my notes. Okay,
Great.
I'm not gonna explain them yet.
Can we discuss each one? Or is it-
Absolutely, but I want to read the whole list. Should I read the whole list first?
No, let's just go one by one. And
Okay,
discuss
so this will
another
actually take us through the story, probably.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Okay, cock blockers. Okay, did you see that trailer at the beginning?
No, I don't think we saw the trailer.
Okay, then I'll skip that. They didn't do the same. Okay, acting class. So,
Oh my
obviously, this is a big part of the film. So, the movie starts out, I believe, with an acting class, right?
Yes.
Yes. Do you want to describe that scene?
Okay, so Greg Sestero, who plays Mark in The Room, is up there trying to act, and he just can't act. And then in the background, all veiled and mystery,
And it
shut
literally happens
camera
this
angle
way. Yeah.
from behind him,
Wearing a Michael Jackson jacket.
you hear that voice, say, "I'll go," and Tommy Wiseau with his long black hair, and he's a freak, as they say, he's a freaky Dracula
Vampire,
dude.
yeah.
Yeah, comes up and he just like overacts the fuck out of like it's just making a complete scene and embarrassment of himself.
And
but
knowing
he's into it.
And
He's
knowing that
into
this
it.
actually occurred.
Well, Tommy Wiseau did say the disaster artist is only about 40% true.
But
it's named after the book.
Tommy
And
didn't
it's
say the book was fully accurate either.
Right. So Tommy said the book is only 40% true. So
Okay.
the movie is beat for beat for the book, but the
Oh,
book
it is. Okay.
only 40% true to real life.
But this
Does that
is an
make sense?
accurate recollection of Greg Sestero's,
Of the book.
of his view of what happened.
Was the disaster artist by Greg or by Tommy Wiseau?
It was by Greg.
Tommy.
It was not by Tommy, no.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, then. Oh, okay.
So
then
this
you're
is
right.
basically
Tommy,
Greg's account.
Gotcha. Then Tommy says it's 40% true.
Yes.
But he's
so
happy with it.
If this copied that book accurately, then I guess what we have is Greg says this is what happened. Tommy says this is 40% true. Okay. However,
Yeah.
Tommy's been out there promoting it, and he likes it. He approved of it.
He loves it,
Yeah.
He loves James Franco. I mean, James Franco, this is like...
James Franco probably flattered him so much. Cause,
and here's the thing, like, James Franco was not mocking Tommy Wiseau.
No, there's almost a
this was
reverent respect for it.
This was like hero worship. This was like a homage.
Yeah. Basically, this is Greg's account, what you're seeing in The Disaster Artist. Although Tommy did participate, though. So, acting class, and he gets up, and he gives this, like, unintelligible, like, you can't even understand, like, what he's saying, and he chooses this girl as a scene partner. He's like, come with me. And, like, she has no idea what he's doing. He, like, throws a chair. He, like, gets up, and it's very, like, avant-garde performance art. But that was not the venue for it. And I think everyone else looked at it as like a comedy or like a freak show, except for some reason this caught the eye of the Greg character, and Greg was drawn to Tommy, and then the movie kind of goes from there based on their relationship.
And Greg was 19 years old at the time.
Yes. And it seems like a very impressionable 19.
Yes, and Tommy is like I mean, we don't know how old he is. That's part of the intrigue of the actual person of Tommy Wiseau.
Yes.
We don't really know where he's from, how old he is. He always lies about it. He won't talk about it. Greg is captivated by, you know, the fact that Tommy just wasn't embarrassed, had no restraint to go up there and make a complete fool out of himself.
Yeah, and look crazy and his confidence.
And throw chairs and solicits Tommy, like, hey, can we do a scene together?
Which is so funny, because in porn that means, that's also a phrase that's used, and I noted down, do a scene, haha, because that's so funny. You want to do a scene together? I mean, let's do a porn scene.
I have, like, what circle of acquaintances do you keep?
I've tried to get into porn, and I failed. But you know what? I'm going to still try to get into the porn circles. I want to be friends with those people. But that is a conversation for another day. So I just kind of noticed, But, okay, did you notice this? Okay, so Tommy and Greg come together, and they go to I guess it's a lunch, okay? And this is one of the big scenes. Did you notice that Tommy just eats an entire clove of garlic? Did you notice that?
I was noticing they were eating a lot of food, and I was wondering, where do they have the money to, like, buy these, like, extravagant meals at these restaurants? I mean,
and that brings us to the point
where does he have the money for anything?
All I noticed is that he shoved an entire clove of garlic into his mouth. Which, disgusting, ew, but he's so weird.
That is so random.
That's what I noticed. I don't know. It's so funny to see what we noticed. But Katie, do you want to say what like the big thing that transpires in that diner that kind of cements the first part of the growing relationship between Tommy and Greg?
So Tommy gets Greg to come out of his shell by basically making him read what was it, like a soliloquy, like very loudly in front of all the people at the diner, and they're shouting the lines at each other, and everybody's like looking up from their food, like what the fuck. And
this is no sort of performance that's getting claps from the people.
Tommy is very like, he's that person who's like, come on, Greg, let's do it now. We're gonna, Greg mentions, someday I'd like to go see the site where James Dean crashed his car and died. And he's like, Tommy's like, let's go, let's do it now. He's
do it now.
It's like 300 miles away. Yeah, so get in, loser. Like Tommy is that guy that just came into Greg's life and was like, come on, let's do it. We're moving to, look, you see, you can act. We're moving to LA. I have a place there. We're going to be big stars. We're going to do it. You have to make me promise.
And he just does it.
Yeah. They go to the site of James Dean's crash site, and he makes them do a pinky swear that they're not going to let each other give up on their dreams of being big stars, and that they're going to make it.
Yeah. And I found that first act and I'm not talking about like oh haha postmodern meta. I found that legit inspirational. I was very moved by the first act.
I was moved. I was shocked by how
sincere
moved I was, and how much I respected Tommy, because he knew, because he mentioned, he said, I was in a bad car accident. When I came to, I realized, what? Fuck everything. I'm going to pursue my dream of being an actor.
Not that we know that was necessarily corroborated. I mean, we don't know if that's true.
Right. We don't know if any of that's true.
But that's his story. That's his narrative. Yeah.
And it's, whether it's true or not, the fact that he was like, what? I don't care that I'm not good. I don't care what people say about me or my accent or my looks. I don't care. I'm the hero. I'm going to be the hero of my own story, and I'm going to be a star. And, nothing is going to stop me. He just had unshakable, unwavering faith, even when arguably maybe he should not have. He's mysterious, but he's like kind, like, he's not going to hurt not Mark,
exactly.
Greg plays Mark. He's not going to hurt him. Greg can trust him, and he's encouraging Greg, and he's giving Greg the keys to the kingdom. I mean, he somehow has a place. He has places all over the state apparently, and he has an apartment in LA that he barely uses, and he lets Greg move in there, and he encourages him.
And Greg agrees to without knowing him that long.
Yes, which really Greg's mom was really upset about. And as a mom, I was like, oh my God, to imagine my son at 19 years old going off with some weird foreign guy, I would not be. I'd have the same reaction that his mom had.
And it's so funny because at 23, I almost did a very similar thing, and my family made such a big deal out of it. I was going to move in with an older friend of mine and just go, because I was done with their systematic abuse of me. So I just was like, bye bitch. And then they basically paid me to stay, but that's a different story. So I have actually lived that out, and I never hear the end of it. You were gonna go live with this weird woman, So I was very personally involved in that. I was just like, oh, the mom's so annoying. Okay, so Greg really takes a leap of faith, finds a lot of inspiration as an impressionable, not a mature 19. He's a young 19. What was so engaging and so inspirational, and what drew that emotion out that I kind of lost in Act 2 and Act 3 was that at its core, the Disaster Artist, for most of it, is a story of a male-male friendship, which is that is emotionally open, and that is vulnerable, and that is not you don't find that narrative so often.
And there were parallels to The Room, itself, in terms of kind of the betrayal. It was like Greg never meant to betray him, and Tommy was certainly overreacting at certain parts. But the fact was, Greg was younger, better looking. You know, it was easier for him to like land.
And Tommy, and as you'll see, Tommy kind of created Greg Sestero. He made him, you know, because Greg wasn't about to do that stuff by himself. Yeah, and he almost got a part on a Disney Channel show.
And they both have written and directed like legitimate stuff since.
I had no idea Tommy Wiseau ever made another film.
Yeah, he's worked on them, and they both have.
Yes, you know, Tommy provided the moxie and the money behind it, but Greg had to convince Tommy that he could be a star.
Right.
So they needed each other. If they were going to become anybody, we would probably not be talking about Tommy Wiseau or Greg Sestero right now if Greg didn't see something in Tommy in that night and they got together.
Yeah, they both saw something in each other that no one else saw in them. Like, no one in their lives.
No one did.
And they made a pact to each other. And you're right, I was having the exact same thought as you. I was like, wow, this is one of those rare male-male friendship
And it was
movies.
just so fulfilling as a guy to be able to watch that and to be able to experience that.
Like, even as a girl, I felt like, wow, I love a movie where, I mean, there was no, like, romantic, for either of them. This was about their friendship and their achievement, and it didn't turn out exactly like they expected, but they both became the big stars that they always dreamed they would be in the most unexpected way. And it's so funny that, like, our conversation so far has been quite serious. This is actually a great film. Now, you take somebody like my husband, who,
probably like my dad. He would just look at this movie and be like, why are you watching, like, literally one of the worst movies out there?
But even The Disaster Artist, like, which is a very well done, well produced.
Oh yeah, it's very well done. It's very well made. Slick.
Yes, and James Franco did a tremendous job. But, like, my husband, from somebody who's not an insider, who's not a fan of The Room, who doesn't get the sense of humor, who isn't that demographic, you know, frankly. Like, I mean, I really think this appeals more to people in their teens, 20s, early 30s.
Weird older people.
Or like older people who are like film geeks or film enthusiasts, or who are just familiar, who they saw The Room 15 years ago and they've always found it funny, and now they're 50, they still find it funny. He was like badgering me the entire ride home of like, well, like, what was the point of that whole movie? But my husband thinks it's just a shtick and it's all for money, and that
that's even too cynical for me. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like, he thinks it's just this whole like thing, and I was like, honey, there's no way they could have planned this. He genuinely
there's no way you could have planned this.
No. Like, he genuinely made this movie like to bare his soul, and everyone laughed
and to try to become a star.
And it backfired, but in an amazing way, because he is a star because of it. He just didn't feel like there was any
plot. See it? Was he able to appreciate it? Even just, you know, as a novelty kind of?
No, that's the thing. That's what surprised me, because I had told him. Because it had
genuinely hilarious moments.
I know, and I had told him.
And great performances, by the way. Wonderful performances.
Some of the best performances I've seen.
Unintentionally good. But these are legitimately good performances.
I mean, James Franco, that was like
that was amazing. I mean, he transformed his face, he transformed mannerisms. This was method acting taken to an extreme in which he became Tommy. That doesn't even look like James Franco. That looks like Tommy Wiseau. He became more Tommy Wiseau than Tommy Wiseau was.
I forgot that I was watching James Franco, and I forgot that Dave Franco, who played Greg, was even his brother in real life. Like,
I couldn't stop forgetting about that, because I kind of love him.
I just totally forgot. But no, my husband, well, I told him, I said, I might just go take myself to see this, by myself one day.
Which I did. I went by myself for the first time to a movie, and it was actually...
You've never been to the movies by yourself? I take myself to the movies all the time. It is like the best form of therapy.
I loved it.
And I see just like dumb crap that my husband doesn't want to see.
What kinds of things do you see by yourself? Because this is the only thing I've ever seen by myself.
Chick flicks, musicals, kids movies, things that my husband doesn't want to see.
Yeah.
And then, because my husband, like, we went again to the theater today. We saw Star Wars, and it was amazing.
You guys get out.
Well, because he's home from work this week. So
awesome.
Our son is at school, so it's like free babysitting with my son at school all day. So we just go to the movies because we only get to do that like once a year.
Do you ever do any heavy petting in the movie theater?
No, we are so past that.
Never be past that. Guys, never be past public sex acts.
Oh my God, no.
Note, I am not condoning any illegal activities.
Okay, 6'10", giant conservative Trump supporter.
Not gonna happen. You're right.
Okay, that's my husband. Okay, so
you're right. You're right. I live in. She may be the fantasy writer, but I live in fantasy world sometimes.
I know, isn't that crazy too? Like, no, dude, that's why I need to be a fantasy writer. That is why I need to write romance novels, because it is like this shit is too real sometimes.
Yeah.
So, where was I? So,
why don't I read my next?
Well, hang on.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, so I had told him that I would go see it by myself. Well, he's all, no, I want to see it. I want to see it too. Like, he wants to, be hip and in on the whatever, But so he told me, he said, just don't give me any context. Just let me go into it and enjoy it. So he knew it was about the worst movie ever made. That's the only context he had.
It sounds like a great premise, even if you haven't seen them.
But but he just didn't. He was almost okay. So first of all, in those reclining chairs, he was like snoring. Like I kept checking
he fell asleep?
No, like he was awake, but he was like. I kept checking to see if he was awake.
Prince Bulldog sinuses does he have?
Like, he was just, like, he was breathing all heavy. I kept nudging him, like, dude, shut up. Like, there was, like, somebody sitting right next to him. I'm like, that guy does not...
asleep?
Dude, I have no clue. I was like, that guy does not want to hear you snore this whole movie. Like, that was, like, bothering me.
Okay, sorry about that. I was just... did not make time for myself to go to the bathroom because I left work, talked to my coworker, then my grandmother called, talked to her, drove home. As I'm coming home, my mom talked to me, and then I'm on this. But anyways, okay, back into this.
Oh my God, you poor thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm just so hard. Okay. Wait, who texted? I thought I put this on Do Not.
You can still see a text.
It was a chain group message thing. So it had nothing to do with me.
Oh my God, those are the
worst.
You can leave those.
I'm going to leave as soon as
you can't.
Later.
There's still no way to get out of an email thread.
Ew.
And I have been receiving like 10 emails a day from my family in fucking Maryland about Christmas Eve. I'm like, I am not even going to be there. I am in Michigan. Like, I'm still getting all these emails. I'm bringing the wine. I'm just like, oh my God, you guys, stop. Take me out of the thread.
So, I'm going to read the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines of notes. And they all pertain to the first act.
Okay,
I need to move to L.A., James Dean. I should move to L.A. Babyface skull emoji. Why have I not done that? Question mark. Why do I not have a career? Question mark. I'm on my way too. So you can see this is a really inspirational and made me think about my own place in my life as well.
Introspective.
Yeah. So that was I was kind of like, oh, I need to move to LA. I need to do some more. I mean, I'm more spontaneous and crazy than most people. I'm not as crazy and spontaneous as I'd like to be, but that really made me think, you know what? I think I'm on my way too. Act 1. Were you inspired by this film? This is a really good question, because I think the acts, for me, my feelings towards them change. At this beginning, when we're seeing them set off on their dream, and we're seeing them make their pact to move to LA and get serious, quote, serious about acting, and they move. Did those bold moves, and knowing someone actually did them, if Greg is to be believed, did that inspire you?
Well, see, it was more nostalgic for me because, see, I did all that. Like, I mean, I never had any interest in, like, being an actor and going to LA, but I did, run off and elope when I was 18 and, to a different...
We both could relate to this movie in different ways.
Yes, we can. And I did live in all different states, and I, like, just did crazy things and made spur-of-the-moment decisions that were permanent.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with it, but people are going to be like, oh, she's crazy!
I know, right?
That's why I added that.
I was a witch when I was a teenager. Who wasn't? When I was having really big dreams about becoming a published writer, and nobody was accepting my manuscript, and I was receiving all this rejection. I could totally relate to that as a rejected artist. I think all artists can relate to this movie if you're a young artist.
Absolutely.
This will certainly inspire you no matter what your art. If you have kind of accomplished a little bit in your art, I've landed 2 publishers. I've been on Amazon category bestseller charts. I've won indie awards, things like that. So it didn't inspire me, to like go do something now. I've already kind of done things. But it was. It like warmed a spot in my heart, like, oh yeah, I know what that's
so
like.
Interesting.
I know what that's like to have a dream and to follow it. Yeah.
We are the same age, but we are at different stages, which is in our journeys, which is so interesting.
You're a few years younger than me, aren't you?
I'm 27.
Oh, were you like older than the kids in your class?
I was older than the kids in my class, yeah.
Okay.
So we're essentially the same age, though our lives could not be probably any more different. So we are on different stages in terms of our goals and what we've wanted to do. So that's so interesting, because it shows how 2 people of the same age, roughly, can relate to this in different ways.
Yeah, and I think we are the demographic. For this movie, we like film, we like bad films, we like The Room, we're fascinated by Tommy Wiseau, we have a great sense of humor, we're into some of that cult classic-y stuff, that avant-garde, the hipster, some of that hipster stuff, and
we flirt with hipsterism, although I think neither of us would
we want to
not be caught dead being called one.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
We both barf at
You called me a hipster one time, and I was like, what misunderstanding? Because, I feel like I'm too cheesy to be a hipster. They try to be cool.
No, they are cheesy.
They are cheesy?
We both had, big black glasses, and
I guess I'm, naive. I don't know. I guess I'm naive of the hipsters.
I was friends with quite a few back in high school, and then...
Or maybe I don't even know what one is. Maybe because now I'm thinking, maybe some of my few associates here, they're pretty weird. I don't know. But I'm weird, so, I mean, I don't know. So this is really a big identity question. As I'm going through and watching The Disaster Artist.
It's making you question your identity. Am I a hipster?
As this relationship between Tommy and Greg grows, something from my Freudian self-training and books came up to me, and that was the almost always abused term of the unconscious homosexual, or unconscious homosexuality. Now, what do you think about the homo-possessive undercurrent that was in this film in the direction of Tommy towards Greg?
I didn't pick up on or perceive anything whatsoever homosexual about the possessiveness. I just think he was being he was being a possessive friend, and he was being jealous of Greg's success or perceived successes. And I will say, so obviously, I'm a straight woman. I always have been. When I was in high school, I had 2 very close friends.
All the lesbians love you because of those big boobs.
Oh, I didn't know that there were any lesbians.
I'm lying. I'm just guessing. I'm just banking on the fact that was your story.
No.
Okay. Ignore that.
I don't know why.
I thought that was going to be the story.
No. So,
okay, never mind.
I had, my best friend since kindergarten, basically. She and I were always kind of, shy and geeky together, and then she kind of, blossomed and became really pretty, and I became kind of overweight. And she got this very attractive boyfriend.
Oh.
And I was not interested at all in her boyfriend. He wasn't my type. Yeah. And I wasn't gay for her.
No.
But it just would really upset me, and I would get really offended and angry when I would come over to her house, and then she would invite her boyfriend over, because I was we go to different schools. You only get to see me every so often. You see your boyfriend at school every day. Why do you have to bring him over here when I'm here? can't you go a day without seeing him? Well, then this spurred on her boyfriend and all of his friends to be like, dude, Katie is the biggest lesbian because
so you can
she's
see
so
how people
protective.
misperceive that.
Yeah, they thought that I was like gay for my friend and jealous that she was with a boy.
And it wasn't.
And I was like, this is not, it has nothing to do with like sexuality or like that kind of affection or gay anything. It's just that like this is my friend and I want to come over to her house and recreate the time when we were like innocent kids and didn't have to think about any of this and not have to think about how much of a loser that I am without a boyfriend of my own and have to watch her flirt. I didn't come all the way over to the next city over to watch her flirt with her boyfriend.
So it was more of a jealous, loving romance than it was anything sexual.
Yeah, well, it's just like a jealous friend. Like the old best friend is jealous that the friend has a boyfriend, and now she doesn't spend as much time with her. And that and my it's so funny because like my friend, she's still my best friend to this day, and we laugh about all that. And
is she still with the guy, or is she with someone else?
Oh no, not she's married to someone new.
Oh wow,
yeah,
your rival's gone.
When I went a couple of years ago, like when my son was small, I actually went over to the next state over because I lived a little closer to her at the time, and I slept over. She and I and another mutual friend of ours, longtime friend of ours, slept over her mom's house, and at the time, her cousin, this friend of mine's cousin, was living at her mom's house because she was going to school locally, and this cousin is our age and had like a friend over, and we were in our 20s. You know, I'm like married, I'm a mother.
Yes.
And my friend says to me, now, you know, my cousin is here with her friend, but they're going to do their own thing, and we're going to do our own thing together, and this will just be our time. Like, she knew me that well that she knew that I would probably get uncomfortable or jealous. So I totally understood how Tommy felt to some extent, because he's like, Greg, like, this is, like, we're serious. This is our dream. We're supposed to be taking this seriously and working together. You're out there gallivanting with this girl, and you're not taking this seriously, and I come home and you're watching sitcoms with this girl. Yeah. But at the same time,
which are totally normative, healthy steps in your life, allegedly.
Yes, and I could totally see it from Greg's point of view, too. Because
I could see it from both of them, yeah.
Because Tommy's dream was a pipe dream from the way it looked and from the way things were looking. And Greg was kind of just trying to have a life and have fun, and he had every right. He's a good-looking young man. He had every right to flirt with a girl and have a girlfriend, and she was very patient with the whole situation of Tommy being his friend. And in the end, Greg really did show his loyalty to Tommy above even himself, above anybody else. He was loyal to Tommy to the end.
Yes.
Even gave up that relationship for him. But I'm sorry,
that's not entirely true. But that's not how I interpreted it. But then again, we'll get there because that's towards the end.
He gave up his acting opportunity on television.
Yes, he did.
And the girl left him. The girl moved out of state. She moved to Texas or something. I mean,
I thought that happened so much later.
Yeah, but I think it was kind of as a result, you know.
What I thought was really interesting was looking at the timeline in this film. 5 years occurs between the beginning and the actual release of the film. I had no idea it was that long of a process. Were you aware that it was 5 years?
5 years between
when
they met,
them meeting and the release of the film.
I didn't realize it went through that, but yeah, I guess you're right, because they
98 to 2003.
Yeah, I guess you're right, and I didn't realize. For some reason, I felt like this was all spanning a number of months, but you're absolutely right.
And they were living together too, which is such an intimate thing.
Looking for agents, you know. Then he, at one point he did move out and move in with his girlfriend, but he still was on the set every day. We still don't know where Tommy Wiseau had $6 million to produce this movie, and he filmed the movie in digital and in what was the other kind of camera?
It was film and digital, 35 millimeter, and then also digital,
on top of each other. No one does that.
Yeah, no one did that. No one does that.
He bought the equipment like a crazy person. And now I will say Seth Rogen, as he normally does,
is amazing.
You know, he kind of came in and stole the show as Sandy, the director, or what was he? Was he the director? Or
I don't know, but I don't think he stole the show. I think he was restrained, and I think honestly, James Franco and his brother were the focus for me the entire part.
They were the focus, but Seth Rogen is just so larger than life, though, that every time he was in a scene, even though he was restrained, he still, to me, he still dominated, because he was just, you know what, can I just mention Seth Rogen I feel like has taken up the mantle of Philip Seymour Hoffman, that kind of bigger guy who just has that laugh and that charm, who's so comfortable in his own skin.
Not necessarily this film, but himself. I find him so attractive.
You know, my cousin does too, and I don't understand that.
Oh, I find him I definitely did not find him attractive years ago. But after seeing some of his work and who he is, and I think, and then growing into my different interests, I am so attracted to him. And yeah, so anyway.
What a story, Mark.
Yeah. So let me just read more of my notes, because we're skipping it. We're moving ahead. We're progressing ahead. So I said, was Tommy his daddy? ? Cringe audition. Tommy is literally unhinged. American Idol villains, because he acted like one of those horrible people on American Idol that have a horrible audition and they're like, no, but I'm good. I said Mark could have done porn, which would be true. He's like my former what is it? Oh, I said this about Tommy. He's like my former Down syndrome charge that I had in Jacksonville. Cringe dinner. So we had a cringe audition and a cringe dinner. This was probably the one with when his girlfriend, they announced that they were going to move in together. I said 2 years, and then DP, because that means something else in porn. ? Dave Franco is beautiful, but his facial hair grows it almost as bad as mine. And then, you're going to appreciate this, where's Kitra Williams? ? Then, because we're talking about the production of the films, I said, I wonder if 40 days is a lot for a film. You may know this. Is 40 days standard, or what is that?
Oh my gosh. I thought 40 days was pretty short for a film. I mean, that's only a month. It depends on the film. I mean, some films can take like 3 to 4 months, to film. Now, then again, maybe I'm thinking of like big budget films where they also have to like do a lot of cinematography and photography and
reshoots. They all do reshoots.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I thought 40
So maybe
days.
that was rather actually the only restrained part of it, do you think?
What do you mean by restrained?
That it was one way in which his extravagance, he wasn't like 120 days of filming.
Right. Well, yeah, but they did go over.
But he didn't plan it that way.
Sure. Well, and I was actually shocked, and I wonder if it's true, and it probably is, because why would they make it up? I mean, it's kind of bad against his character.
And I generally believe that Greg Sestero is a credible character, and I think James Franco is credible as well.
I was surprised by how hot it was, like how Tommy didn't run the air conditioning, didn't give them water.
Well, and I love that you mentioned this, because in the second act, what we see of Tommy changes completely. We see the dark side. Do you want to label out what, and me being so emotionally enraptured with this film, I really found myself turning on Tommy at that moment.
Yes, well, and you're supposed to, because this
you're supposed to.
This is from Greg's
lay down how he goes from like hero to villain in the second act.
So it's when they realize we're doing this, we're making our movie, that Tommy becomes drunk on the power.
Exactly. He's a diva.
Yes, and he just starts. I mean, he's so cruel. Like, he's doing like a nude sex scene with the actress. By the way, the girl that they had to play Lisa was fantastic. I mean,
she was fantastic, and I want to talk about that. There was also this misogynistic element as well, but let's just talk about the other horrible things that he did. You mentioned the air conditioning.
He was too cheap to run the air. He didn't even think about giving them water.
But it was also in revenge, petty revenge.
It was, and he was, because he did because all the people that he hired, people showed up on the set because he was paying them.
Regular people who have been working in the movie industry, they've never seen or worked with anyone like him.
Right, and they were all so he was actually filming what was going on in the studio at all times, and he caught on film we don't know if this is true, this could have just been in the movie, but in the movie he catches on film, Seth Rogen's character and the other characters, sort of gossiping under their breaths, like, what the hell is this, and, like, this guy's crazy, and, talking about him, and that pisses Tommy off. He feels so betrayed because he's paying them, and they're talking about him, and they're not respecting his vision, and, he's doing a sex scene with the girl, and she's nude, and she just has like little like spots, like birthmarks on, and Tommy's just, you're disgusting, we need more makeup to cover this girl's disgusting body.
Horrible.
It was just horrible. And I thought it was kind of sweet, like the rest of the crew stepped in, and they were like, you will not humiliate and embarrass this girl in front of us, like, you will not, treat her that way, and especially Greg. I mean, Greg finally grew a pair and came in and was like, Tommy. Like, Greg was the only one who could talk to Tommy. He was constantly
He was the only one who was able to put the brakes on at very selective moments.
He always had to, like, intervene and, like, usher him aside and talk and be like, Tommy, you need to, like, and he was the only one that Tommy would listen to, but then there was a point where Tommy felt like he couldn't even trust him, and so there was this yes, we get that dark side, there was this awful turning, and it reminds me of, and I think they did it on purpose, it parallels the story of The Room, because him and Mark, Johnny and Mark, are best friends, and then along comes Lisa, who represents, like, the whole experience of making this movie, and they both, have this role in it, and then they turn on each other, or so Tommy perceives, that, his friend betrays him, and Greg didn't really betray him. Greg is the audience, he's trying to be reasonable and look at, he's reacting to this like we would. He's being a lot more patient, I think, and accepting of all this than the average person.
I think we need to underscore, if you haven't seen the film, this one scene where they are filming the sex scene. I just want to underscore what an uncomfortable scene that is to watch.
But it was hilarious. She was like, I think you're aiming a little high.
See, I wasn't laughing. For whatever reason,
really?
I laugh at the most inappropriate stuff, but that struck me dead cold. And it did, because she was naked, she was vulnerable. A sex scene is something that, whether it's in porn or whether it's in film, everyone needs to be okay with what's going on. There needs to be consent. You're opening up. She probably didn't know that there was going to be a scene like that, and that she'd be dealing with a person like Tommy. I mean, at some point, he just mounts her and is just like, we're going! And this is after he had yelled at her and to her...
And insulted her. And she had to pretend...
And insulted her.
And she had to act in the scene and pretend that they're having, like, this giggly... And it actually showed me, even though we say...
that she was able to do it.
Yes, it showed me, even though we say this is, like, the worst movie ever and the worst acting ever, that actually, if that actress was actually having those interactions with him, like, right before the cameras rolled, she is an amazing actress if she could be smiling and putting on that character's face when she's... feeling like shit on the inside, because you're right, like, doing a scene like that, they obviously should be kind and courteous to one another and get into the mood of the scene, and exactly, he just mounts her and is like, all like,
and he does it like twice, he like jumps off her, then he goes right back on her. I mean, it's very uncomfortable.
It was. I mean, we were laughing at his ass.
I wasn't.
Like,
I was like dead cold.
My husband did laugh at that. Like, that was like one of the few things he laughed at.
Yeah, well, because his ass was kind of like the easy comedy in that,
Yeah, but, that's true. But I mean, I was just glad there was like something
he laughed at. But so I mean, there was just a violative element of that, and yes, it was a number of years ago. But at the same time, it just, the fact that the actress was like, "Oh no, I can do it. It's fine," without any recoup time or anything, just shows you how desperate some people are and what they will go through to get on the screen.
She got topless for the role in the movie.
She did, and also. We need to look at it through a gender double standard here too. Like, Tommy Wiseau doesn't, we find out in this film that he experiences that he's not the kind of impenetrable facade that he may seem to be, that he is actually a deeply insecure person about his appearance. And he's very sensitive when people say, "Oh, you look like a vampire, you look like Frankenstein." He actually gets really mad. And so
right,
to
like
know,
he's that weird kid in school that like everybody would kind of make fun of for some obvious like flaw, and instead of trying to correct it, the kid just says like, "No, I'm not. No, I don't."
but
and
also
it's
we see this, and it's a very specifically guy thing, is that we see them transfer this onto, they have unreasonably high and exacting standards of beauty in women. And we see him abuse this woman and say that she's ugly, despite the fact that he chose her for the part. He calls her her exposed
Disgusting.
body disgusting.
Yeah, and she's beautiful too. But both of them, the actress in The Disaster
Well,
Artist,
it's also
and
like,
in
even if you're thinking
the
that, and maybe this is just,
Right.
I don't know, my knowledge of porn or my knowledge of acting. I mean, even you may find the person repulsive, but you do it if you're a professional. That was not professional, and this was totally part of his power trip, and he was exacting. Whereas when we get comments about male looks, whether he's trying to pump himself up or whether he's complimenting Mark, he's nice. But when it comes to the beauty of women, he is very exacting, and that is one of the most uncomfortable scenes for me in the movie, that shot me cold, and that totally turned me against Tommy as the production went forward.
That did make me lose like a lot of respect for him. However, I already knew he was somewhat of a misogynist, because if you like look at the script of the room,
we both knew that, but I just thought it was like, oh, maybe a subtext came out. I never thought there was this going on in the set.
No, I didn't know. I couldn't have guessed that was going on the set, but I knew he was like
the real
misogynistic,
story was
because his
off
whole
the scenes.
The whole point of the room is, remember, women suck, so kill yourself.
Yes!
Women
Your
are
tagline.
conniving bitches. Like, he made this character so...
It was literally the most heavy-handed, hackneyed woman who, for no reason, but her fickle woman schemes.
Which is such a misogynistic way to write a female character.
And it's so obvious.
No female in the history of
real female
is like that.
Yes, unless they have borderline personality disorder.
That is a man's common historical perception of women, because they don't understand.
They're emotionally retarded.
Because they are emotionally stupid.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because their mothers and everyone doesn't force them to learn emotions and have emotional intelligence like women are forced to.
Well, and I think women like naturally do. I mean, there is a biological difference between women and men. I mean, women really are more wired to.
They don't have to be, though, because I've definitely seen exceptions.
Well, sure, there's exceptions to everything, but in general, women are, they're more feeling, and men are more unfeeling, and just like, I mean, like my husband, it's like being married to Spock. Like, he is a Vulcan.
That sounds horrible.
That's another conversation.
Yeah, that is another conversation, which I can definitely see that will. Did this behind-the-scenes footage make it to the DVD, which I need to know, because that's the real movie right there. Why does this make me emotional? ? Oh my fucking god, the story of the room is the story of a homo-romantic love triangle. How did I not notice this? Which you interpreted differently. And of course, I love the grandmother. Oh my god, the subtexts are slaying me. Oh my fucking god, why don't I get jobs that way? Which I don't even know. Oh, I guess that it was in reference to Greg walking in, standing up, and being beautiful, and then getting a job.
No, well, I must say, I did at the even despite everything we just talked about, seeing Tommy's dark side and everything, when they had his premiere of the movie and everybody was there, and when everybody just finally like was burst out and was like laughing and he was crying, I actually like almost choked up. Like, I felt so bad. Like, I actually said, "Aww."
Yeah. See,
like when
no,
I was
at that point, at that point he was already dead to me.
Seriously?
Oh yeah.
See, I was heartbroken for him. I felt, but then when Greg took him out of the theater and told him, like, look, they're having a great time in there. Like, okay, they're laughing at it, but do you think Hitchcock ever got a reaction like that from his movies?
But who he's referencing were legitimately abusive people, and what his conduct was on the set. I mean, he was a tyrant.
Yes.
I mean, we have to mention that the grandmother passed out because of the air conditioning not being on.
Right, she did. No, we don't know if that's true, but at least in the
Well,
movie.
Greg says it's true.
Okay. Is that in the book?
I mean, didn't you say the book is this is the same? I mean, I want to read the book. I want to read the book. We haven't read the book.
I have not read the book.
Maybe we can do an Oprah's book club on that. If all of these behind-the-scenes things are true, the fact that the grandmother passed out, the fact that there was no air conditioning, the fact that Tommy was a complete tyrant, the fact that he basically was verbally abusing this woman, and that him and Greg were feuding the entire time, and he was having to play out their kind of love triangle, that makes this film all the more remarkable, not because of what you see on the screen, but because of right before the scenes were taken and right after what was happening around them. And you realize the real story of The Room is the story of everything that was outside of the film. The film was just the point where these things converge, but the real story was what's in The Disaster Artist.
Just to de-escalate that beautiful point you just made and bring it back to this more base observation of mine, I was a little surprised at how overtly meta they actually, like, questions that people commonly have, like, why doesn't the breast cancer thing ever come up again?
Yes.
I actually thought that kind of ruined the humor a little bit.
Really? But didn't that seem realistic to you that an actress would be like that?
No, because I thought that the people who filmed The Room, just honestly, nobody even thought about it, that they just went and did it, and no one even
Let me tell you, and I've been in the acting world, these people, they will overanalyze everything, especially when it involves potentially their big break. There is no way that this lady, who said she was a committed actress, you know, she said, and there was this one point that was very inspiring to me, because it was kind of like, oh, but, you know, that was my nostalgic part. She's like, we are actors. We do this, and, you know, and I love this line. It may not have really been true for this set in which there was this tyrant, but she said it and it felt inspiring to me. And this was the grandmother giving all the rundown people, some of them, a pep talk, which included Greg. It said, the worst day on here, on set, is the best day outside of here.
It's better than the best day. Yeah, and she said, you know, because that was when one of the characters was asking her, why are you getting up at 5 a.m.
Why are you doing this at 5 in the morning?
And coming
you passed out.
You have grandkids that you could, and she was like, because we are actors.
It's her craft.
This is what we do.
And it shows you that despite the fact the movie came out looking like an unprofessional slosh fest, there were actual professionals all around Tommy.
Or at least they all had the heart that, like, Tommy and Greg had. Even if they didn't have the talent, they had the heart.
They may not have necessarily had the talent, that's true, but people like Seth Rogen in the background, they definitely knew what they were doing.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean...
And it went by kind of quickly, but there was a regime change in there that he fired some people.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, because he got fed up with everybody talking about him.
He couldn't handle it.
But yeah, I was actually surprised that there were so many parts where Seth Rogen, among other characters, were pointing out they were pointing out things that people have been laughing at and pointing out about The Room for the last 15 years, and I felt like, really, you couldn't get more creative than that? Like, these are all points that we've already all made. Like, that's the joke in and of itself, is that she says, I definitely have breast cancer, and then it never comes back, and they bring it up, like, several times in the movie, and I'm like, no, you're killing the joke, you're ruining the joke. Like, it's
would you prefer it to be, if that was the reality, would you prefer it to be less based in the reality?
No, I want it to be based in the reality, or you know, however real Hollywood can get. But I guess I just didn't realize that the people who were making it were so aware of its shortcomings, even at the time.
Did that kind of in a sense change or ruin The Room for you?
It didn't ruin The Room, but it definitely, if that's true and if that was the case, then it definitely did change my perception, because I really did think that every person working on this movie was like fully like Tommy, like fully believing in it, not questioning it. And so now to know that they were all like questioning it while they were working on it,
because we see this, there actually was, believe it or not, a formal audition process.
Yeah, and they made him do ridiculous stuff, and that might have just been...
and that was also what today would be considered sexual harassment, because at one point they made the girl who later then the incident took place, the one they hired, they made her act... Well, I don't know if was this her? The same girl?
Yeah, well, it was enough. They made her act like she's licking an ice cream cone.
They made her basically mime a blowjob.
Right, and then she even says, like, is this a real movie? Because if this is a
Oh yeah, and he's like, no, I don't do porno, so he knew how it looked.
Right. So, like, yeah, that would be sexual harassment.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
oh my God, that would get you, your movie, that would get you gone, today.
Well, I mean, okay, but in Hollywood,
but he was funding himself, so the thing is there's no one to fire him. It shows you what a genuinely person who believes 100% in themselves, or at least on the outside does, or at least acts like they do. If those really out there people literally have endless supplies of money and what they can do with it.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, we still don't know where the hell he has this money from that he could make this movie. It's like, damn, if you had the money, then go ahead. If that's your dream to be in a movie, then make a movie.
Then make your own. Yeah.
Make your own movie. Make the worst movie ever made, and people will love it. At the end, they show, like, as the credits are rolling, or they interrupt the credits to show.
Yes.
A scene by scene, so you have the two screens next to each other of the room and of the cast of the Disaster Artist recreating the scene in the famous scenes from the room, and it is like amazing. It is like beat for beat, on the second, on the pulse, like all the lines delivered exactly the same, the movements, like how freaking long.
And it was especially James Franco was almost more Wiseau than Tommy was himself.
Tommy Wiseau. Oh my God.
Well, we also saw that there was a tremendous amount of takes in the room too, which you would not know by looking at it. Right. And Tommy was the problem. It wasn't these other people.
Like, Tommy had like a simple line that he wrote, and he could not.
He wrote all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have even winged it, kind of. And so what we see is like, oh, this is so bizarre. He wrote this, and it's one of the funniest parts of the room. That was a belabored process to the point where he was almost ready to just like explode.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much passion behind throwing that water bottle down.
And that was all Greg's idea. Remember, Greg gave him the water bottle. And so, then also when Greg like throws that psychiatrist guy over doesn't throw him, but he like thrusts him over the edge of that wall.
Yes.
Like that, like that was when Tommy motivated him to like, Greg, give it more passion, and they motivated each other to really act, in this movie.
Yeah, it shows you the advantages and also the perils of taking a creative vision too far, to the point where you actually start to subordinate people's safety for your vision. And I think that's a very, despite the fact that The Room is so not Hollywood, that's an issue in Hollywood as well,
Yeah, that's
because we've had in recent years actors die on railroads, etc., doing stunts, stuff like that. And is there anything else you wanted to say about The Disaster Artist? Great performances, you thought, pieces that unexpectedly moved you, and things that you'll take away from this film?
On a very personal level, like, this film reminded me of something that I would have loved to have seen with one of my best friends from high school who was really into, she was a huge film nerd. She's part of the reason I'm a film nerd. And so that friend of mine, I don't even know if she's seen The Room. We don't talk much these days. But I was thinking of her a lot, thinking that this is something I would have loved when I was like 16, 17, to go and see this, and to see a movie about the making of a movie, and there was that haunting factor of their friendship. I personally had so much fun watching this movie. I found it extremely watchable.
Oh yeah.
It
is so rewatchable. It is so rewatchable.
Yes, and clearly, because of my experience with my husband, like, clearly it's not for everyone.
Absolutely.
It has a specific audience.
And that's why it's not a mainstream film. Because
and that's
it's
why it
not
wasn't
made for the biggest market possible.
It wasn't released everywhere, right. It's only certain types of
Even though by some twist of history
it
has gotten a lot of attention, and that's kind of due to the internet, which wasn't as much of a thing in 2003, and we can really talk more about this in the next program, but I want to thank you so much. This was our review of The Disaster Artist, CK Brooke and Jakob Musıck. This was a Homo and a Housewife, our review of The Disaster Artist 2017 film. And Katie, what are you doing lately? Where can people find you? What's some of your work? What do you want to tell people? What do you want to plug?
So, as always, you can find me on ckbrooke.com, and I want to let you all know as a little holiday gift, on December 29th through the 31st, so that is from the time of recording this, it's not this weekend, but next weekend, so hopefully by the time you're listening to this, my ebook called Capturing the Captain, American Pirate Romance, will be free on Kindle. The publisher is running Limitless Publishing is running a free promotion. So again, that's Capturing the Captain by CK Brooke.
Between now and our next episode, I'm going to read it so we can read it together, even though we're not reading it together. We'll read it at the same time, and it can be like book club, and then we're going to come back and talk about it.
Okay, so are you going to download a free copy when it's free then next week, and then, or you want me just to send you a copy?
No, I'm probably just going to be lazy as hell and make you send me free copies, because don't act like I don't love that.
I know, right?
I love that.
So in our... At some point after the new year, you want to talk about... It came out in April 2016, and then we had the second American pirate romance called Commanding His Heart was released this summer. I forget exactly what month, but it came out this summer. So it's kind of a way to promote the second book. They're putting the first book for free.
Awesome. Okay, so the one that you'll be giving me is what?
The first one.
The first one. And so maybe we can discuss that and then maybe also discuss the second one, if you want? Whatever you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that sounds like fun. It's been a while since we've done a book talk on my
It's been a long time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, awesome. And this is good because it, like we've talked about previously, romance is not what I read. So, and I've never read a single page about a pirate in my life. So I know nothing about pirates.
This is my first, that was the first actual traditional, by the formula romance novel that I have ever written.
So it'll be interesting to think what I think of the more traditional one, what I'll think. I wonder if I'll like it a lot or not.
Yes, because I know you've read my Jordanian novels, but those are epic fantasy.
Yes.
And with heavy romance, but they're fantasy. And this is an actual by the numbers, romance. So,
normally by the numbers are things I like Lifetime movies, by the numbers, pop songs, by the numbers, memoirs, by the numbers. I love by the numbers shit, mediocre shit. I love it.
Most people do like by the numbers. And so this one, and it's a historical romance, and I think you will enjoy it. Okay, well that sounds great, Jake. Thank you so much for doing this.
And so I'm on Iranian television, but you don't have to be in Iran to watch me, okay? You can watch me in Africa, Middle East, Asia, and Europe on Eutelsat and Intelsat, and if you don't have that, you can watch me at presstv.ir. There's no telling when I'll appear. I'm a political analyst. They just call me, and I go on, and I spout my opinions. I mean, give out my wisdom that is very professionally collated and collected. And according to them, I'm a journalist, so I'm quite pleased. So, you can see me there. I'm on about every 2 days. Also, you can catch me on YouTube. There is a playlist called My Appearances. All my TV appearances are there, and it's the same name as this SoundCloud page that you're listening on, or the iTunes feed that you're listening on. So please explore that, and we would love to get any feedback about anything, and we had a great time talking at you. We loved it. And next time we'll be discussing books. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Do
you want to give a Tommy Wiseau bye? Did he have anything? Did he? Oh bye. Oh bye, Mark.
No. Oh bye, Mark.
Oh bye, Mark.
That's turning it on its head.
See, I can't do it as good as you do. You're the best. Katie's the best. That's amazing. Women suck. Go kill yourself. Bye.
Outside,
This is Voice of the Revolution.